Parkour is often seen as just a physical discipline: running, jumping, climbing, balancing, vaulting, and moving through the environment with efficiency and control. But parkour is just as engaging for the mind in many ways. Parkour brings together two things that were never meant to be separated: physical movement and mental activity. First, there is the body. Physical exercise is important to brain health. The brain does not exist independently of the body's physical condition. Cardiovascular health, circulation, metabolic health, mood, stress regulation, sleep, and general physical fitness all influence the environment in which the brain operates. To care for the brain, therefore, is also to care for the body that sustains it. Parkour is a very holistic form of exercise. It asks the body to run, jump, climb, land, balance, crawl, swing, rotate, accelerate, decelerate, and change direction. Strength, endurance, mobility, coordination, agility, balance, power, flexibility, proprioception, and body control are continually brought together. We are movement-seeking organisms. Life requires constant physical interaction with the environment. We walked long distances, climbed, carried, crouched, balanced, ran, navigated uneven terrain, reacted to changing surroundings, and used our bodies as essential instruments of survival. Movement was not something added to life as a scheduled activity. Our brains evolved within that relationship. Perception existed to guide action. Vision helped us navigate space. Balance allowed us to move through unpredictable terrain. Memory helped us remember routes. Attention helped us detect danger. Prediction helped us anticipate what would happen next. Coordination allowed us to manipulate the physical world. The brain and body therefore evolved together, in constant dialogue with the environment. Modern life has changed this relationship dramatically. Much of daily existence can now be conducted while sitting still, looking at a screen, and interacting with an increasingly abstract world. We can spend hours exercising the mind while barely asking the body to do anything complex. We spend a great deal of time engaged in intellectual work that's physically inactive, which is great for developing and exercising cognition, but physical activity plays a big role in cognitive improvement as well, especially forms of movement that engage our innate capacity to navigate and interact with space. Cultivating the mind through intellectual work and the brain through embodied movement make for a more balanced and overall improved cognitive system. Parkour is a comprehensive form of training because it engages both the body and multiple layers of cognition. It develops strength, power, mobility, balance, coordination, proprioception, agility, spatial awareness, reaction, and body control, while also exercising attention, perception, spatial processing, motor learning, prediction, and decision-making. But that's not all. At the higher-order thinking level, deliberate parkour training adds another dimension. The practitioner can make the expansion of movement capacity itself a long-term project. They set goals, identify weaknesses, design increasingly difficult movement problems, measure performance, refine strategies, and progressively expand what they are capable of doing. This engages long-term prediction and planning, critical problem-solving, cognitive flexibility, creativity, self-monitoring, and other functions. Parkour also continually exposes the practitioner to uncertainty, pressure, and control risk. Learning to perceive clearly, make decisions, regulate arousal, and execute under stress adds another dimension to the training. Rather than simply developing physical capacity, the practitioner learns to remain cognitively and physically effective when conditions are demanding and uncertain. The brain is not designed to operate in complete isolation from movement. And this is where parkour becomes particularly interesting. Parkour can be understood as a way to reawaken that large portion of innate movement intelligence. It invites us to climb, jump, balance, crawl, run, explore, and interact directly with our surroundings, not as artificial exercises imposed upon the body, but as meaningful responses to the physical world. It reconnects us with something primitive in the best sense of the word. Not primitive as in unsophisticated, but ancient, deeply embodied, and fundamental to being human. Then comes the second dimension, the mind. Parkour does not merely make the body move. It makes the brain work while the body moves. A wall, rail, gap, slope, or staircase becomes a problem to solve. The practitioner has to perceive the environment, recognize possibilities, estimate distances, anticipate momentum, choose a strategy, execute it, and adjust according to what actually happens. You are not simply moving through space. You are also thinking through space. This creates a continuous loop between perception, decision, movement, and feedback. The brain tells the body what to attempt, the body reports what actually happened, the brain interprets that information and changes the next movement. That is why parkour naturally engages attention, spatial awareness, proprioception, decision-making, creativity, critical problem-solving, motor learning, and adaptability. The environment is never completely predictable, and there is rarely only one correct solution. The practitioner learns to ask not merely, "Can I do this?" but, "What are my options?" Parkour also strongly develops the ability to perceive and explore possibilities. And because successful movement requires presence, parkour can also cultivate a powerful form of embodied mindfulness. When crossing an obstacle, the mind has to be with the body. You have to feel your balance, see your landing, sense your momentum, and respond to the environment. Look. Feel. Decide. Move. Adapt. The mind becomes present because the body demands it. This is also why parkour can be understood as a form of cognitive training without separating cognition from physical exercise. The brain is not being trained in abstraction while the body performs something repetitive. And in today's world of being overstimulated by the digital world, the cognitive balance from parkour training helps a lot in contributing to a good balance. If movement was one of the environments in which the human brain evolved, then movement is not merely something the brain tolerates. It is one of the ways the brain experiences, understands, and interacts with the world. When we deprive ourselves of meaningful movement, we lose more than physical fitness. We also reduce opportunities for the brain to engage with balance, space, coordination, prediction, exploration, and sensory feedback. A brain that is embodied, challenged, and actively engaged with its environment is being used in a fundamentally different way from a brain that spends most of its existence detached from physical experience. Parkour restores that dialogue. It brings the body back into the conversation. The physical exercise supports the physiological health of the brain. The complexity of movement engages the nervous system. The environment demands attention. Obstacles demand problem-solving. Novel movements stimulate learning. Uncertainty demands adaptation. And the act of moving through space reconnects cognition with the physical world. So perhaps parkour's greatest value is not that it makes us exceptionally good at jumping over walls, etc. It is that it reminds us that the human mind was never separate from the human body in the first place. We evolved as moving, sensing, adapting organisms. Parkour allows the body to move in the way it instinctively wants to move, while giving the brain the kind of rich, unpredictable physical world it evolved to navigate. And that is what makes parkour such a compelling practice for both physical and cognitive health and performance. It does not merely exercise the body or challenge the mind. It reunites the two. And compared with many conventional sports and forms of exercise, parkour combines an exceptionally wide range of physical, perceptual, and cognitive demands. It requires strength, power, mobility, balance, coordination, proprioception, spatial awareness, rapid perception-action coupling, motor planning, and continual adaptation within a changing environment. These characteristics overlap with established findings that physical exercise benefits cognition and that open-skill activities, which require responding to variable environments, can provide particular advantages for executive functions such as inhibitory control and cognitive flexibility. Parkour also combines these demands with something relatively uncommon in conventional training: the continual creation and manipulation of movement problems. Obstacles, distances, angles, sequences, and constraints can all be deliberately varied to develop increasingly sophisticated abilities. Parkour training benefits can be referenced from the extensive literature on exercise, motor learning, spatial cognition, creativity, problem-solving, open-skill activity, and executive functions that are involved in parkour. They strongly suggest that its combination of physical, perceptual, cognitive, and adaptive demands makes it a very powerfully comprehensive form of training and development for brain health and fitness.